Welcome back. The Assembly of the Unemployed is calling for Police Minister Bheki Cele and Justice Minister Ronald Lamola to urgently address the killing of Abahlali BaseMjondolo leaders. The surviving leaders have been forced to go underground. 2 weeks ago, Mnguni was assassinated. It's believed 2 men opened fire several times, killing him and injuring his girlfriend at their home in Cato Manor in KZN. Let's discuss this plea to ministers. We're joined by Siyabulela Mama from the Assembly of the Unemployed. Siyabulela, thank you very much for speaking to us this evening. So, Mnguni is the third Abahlali BaseMjondolo leader to be killed this year. What do you think is behind these murders?
So I think what's behind these matters, one, it's the political context and the radical activism around land occupation, and counterpower, dismissing the status quo in and around Durban, and is particularly in eNCA. And this is a great example, by the way, of how people, through land occupation, can create their own livelihoods, sustainable livelihoods. And this is being rejected by the state, and particularly by the ANC government, with its corporate partners, private partners, who are basically in control. So, and we do need to, as many of us in the unemployed people's movements, in the assemblies of the unemployed, we need to come out and condemn this, because this is a great example, and these are great examples of creating alternatives around the systems that we face around the crisis of unemployment. And what Abahlali and the comrades in eNCA are doing is actually providing an alternatives of against this system of unemployment, this crisis of unemployment, how we should be rethinking our lives and our livelihoods. And this is what's being rejected. And this is how and why we, as many organizations of the working class, needs to come out and condemn this. And by the way, I think, as you said it as well, that as much as we've seen many activists within Abahlali who are being killed, and in other movements as well, but you also find people and activists and leaders within Abahlali BaseMjondolo who are still in hiding. They're in hiding because of these situations and these repressions that are being imposed and are subjected to. So this is a crisis that we, in a democratic state, in what is supposed to be a democratic state, by the way, we see. And as people and organizations of the working class are coming out to call out on this, was enough is enough.
You talk about state and corporate abuses. Just expand on that a bit.
This, by the way, touches on many aspects of the capitalist system that we face. One, on the issue of land. We know how we've come to understand how corporates tend to dominate the issue of land and how they've occupied land. And this is through mining, and this is through the building of malls and development, and this is through other initiatives that is deemed as development. And this is a setting that's against that. And we also know how corporate, in some ways, through commercial agriculture, industrial agriculture, is also enforcing its dominance through these forms of organizing, through the issue. So just the destructiveness of corporate agriculture, and how we in ourselves till this day find ourselves in the question of food insecurity while there's more food that's being produced. And so these are initiatives that are creating an alternative. They're creating an alternative, and they showing many working class people in South Africa and around KZN, around how we should be rethinking alternatives in this crisis of unemployment and this crisis of capitalism. So this is actually an assault to this crisis. And what the response that we're seeing from the state, particularly because we seen that these are mainly acts that are being imposed by the states. These assassinations are caused, by the way, by the state, and we see these as intimidation and stopping of this creation of these alternative livelihoods that comrades in Abahlali BaseMjondolo are doing, and we need to stop it now. We need to stop it now that it's happening to KZN, and we all need to come out to voice against it, because if we do not voice it now and organize against it, it means every effort that's happening in Khayelitsha, every effort that's happening in Tembisa, every effort that's happening in KwaZulu, every effort that's happening in King Williamstown, we must know that this will be the modus operandi. So if we do condemn it while it happens in Cape Town, all of us as communities of the working class, then we will be doing a great job. And this is why we're calling on Minister Bheki Cele to stop sleeping. And the inept bungling around this particular issue. This is why we're calling on Minister Lamola as well to stop sleeping on the job, to actually investigate and actually put action against those who have been and are causing these assassinations against activists.
Have you had any feedback from either Minister Bheki Cele or Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola?
So this is something that we actually waiting for from the comrades of Abahlali BaseMjondolo to say. But what we can say is that they have been coming forward to provide evidence and evidence around what has been happening and the situation around these series of events, and what these authorities need to do is actually to take action. And this is why we're coming out in solidarity with them, and together with them in calling for them to take action, tangible action, against these acts. I mean, this is really not acceptable.
Thank you very much for your time and for speaking to us. That was Siyabulela Mama from the Assembly of the Unemployed, commenting on the third murder of leadership of Abahlali BaseMjondolo.